Alleluia. Om Mani Padme Om. Allah Satnam.
Welcome. You're watching Harmony and Diversity. We're speaking with Jan Lester. She's the Director of Public Affairs, Church of Scientology, Melbourne. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you.
I'll just draw a little point here, and it is the last point in relation to the description of Scientology on its website. Mm-hmm. Scientology is something one does, not something one believes in. Mm. Then I go to the 8 dynamics, mm-hmm. which come from the cross of Scientology, and the 8th dynamic is the great essence, mm-hmm. the God dynamic. Mm-hmm. How does that fit in where there's not something to believe in, it's something to do? So mm-hmm. what's that look like?
Okay, so first of all, Scientology is all denominational. Mm-hmm. So you could be a Buddhist and a Scientologist, you could be Catholic and a Scientologist, you could be Christian and a Scientologist. Okay. So each person is going to come with their own ideas about what makes up that dynamic, depending on their experience. And it may change, it may not. So again, that's a very personal thing. I think for me, I believe there is a spiritual being, there is a creator, something mm-hmm. is responsible for all of this. Mm-hmm. I'm still working out how that is. But that I think in regarding to the doingness of it, it comes in your actions. So mm-hmm. maybe for someone who's considering that area, they may have more respect in their action, whatever that action is, but concerned with that area. Mm-hmm. That's my personal viewpoint on that.
Yeah, it's interesting. So what you're saying, and perhaps this is as a confusion arises with this mm-hmm. being the Church of Scientology, there's an implication that you need to be of a particular belief structure, yes. or you can't do it.
Yes, yes.
So that's not the fact of the matter at all.
No. Because church means church is like a gathering place,
yes,
a place
correct.
where people meet. And it's also a name of an establishment where religious activity is going on, but not necessarily about belief systems as such.
No, that's a very important point of distinction, and thanks for illuminating that. It brings it all together as being, as it says succinctly there, it's something one does. Now, symbolism. And we earlier on the previous program we talked about the cross of Scientology with its 8 dynamic points, which we've just been discussing.
Yes.
But there is another symbol which is used, and I think you have it on your bracelet.
It's on my bracelet here.
Yeah, which has an S and
two triangles.
2 triangles. So the S stands for?
Scientology.
Well, isn't that a surprise?
Yeah.
And then we've got the 2 triangles, but they have a significant symbolism. So what do they stand for?
Okay, so they're very important. They're like little tools. Well, they're actually probably bigger than little tools.
Yes.
Yeah. The first one is ARC, the ARC triangle, which we use in relation to relationships with people or things. So A stands for affinity, R stands for reality, and C stands for communication.
Right.
And when we have those right, we have understanding. So if we don't have understanding, something is out on one of those 3.
Yes. Okay.
And it means we have to raise that up in order to have the understanding. For instance, like I was thinking about this, the interfaith area or multi-faith area is raising understanding of different faiths. So it's actually raising the reality level for people. They have more reality, more agreement. And in order to get that, they need to communicate. And with that their affinity for that other religion or person will come up. And in reverse, if you don't have the reality there, the affinity and communication can lessen. And so they grow or shrink down together.
Right.
And in order to, the basic link there though is the communication.
Communication, yeah.
So we're big on communication.
Yes, yes. Well, you are, because in our previous conversations, talking about the auditing, etc., and the tests of personality, that's about getting your communication right,
Yes.
both with yourself and with other.
That's right, yes. And then the other triangle is KRC. The K stands for knowledge, the R stands for responsibility, and the C stands for control.
Right.
And when I talk about control, I mean control like you're controlling your life or you're controlling the motor vehicle. Some people have a little bit of a misunderstanding on that word. So we are Scientology is about knowledge. It means knowing how to know.
Yes.
And so if you increase your knowledge about something, you're going to have more control of that area and you're going to be able to take more responsibility. And when I think about that, I can't believe how much in my life those two triangles come into play. They're like building blocks or foundations for relationships with things, with my life, with people. It's all about getting that knowledge, getting that understanding, and you can tell if something's out with another person. Why isn't he talking to me? It doesn't seem very... So you can just find out, have I done something to offend you, or did I say something that you didn't like? And it's good for partners, you know, you can then communicate and then you work it out and everything's back together.
Right.
Yeah, so very, very fundamental tools that we use all the time. And that's, again, about the Scientology, about meaning doing this. It's an applied philosophy.
Yes.
It's a technology that you can apply to your life, and that's two examples of it. So because they're very key, we feature them in the symbol of Scientology.
Lifted them out.
Yeah,
Yes.
8 dynamics, key to life, and those triangles.
Those triangles.
Very key as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we'll talk more about those triangles. We're out of time for the moment.
Okay.
We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. You're watching Harmony University. We're speaking with Jan Lester. She's the Director of Public Affairs, Church of Scientology, Melbourne. Like most organisations, Jan, the Church of Scientology has a creed. I have it in front of me, so I've got the advantage over you because I can see it all there. But when I talk about the creed, what's the thing which leaps to your mind as the most important element of it?
Okay, what I love the most is probably that we are all born equal. Like the whole idea of human rights and equality. Also about the respect for other religions. That we're all entitled to have our own ideas and our own beliefs. And to have to support our own governments and organisations, and also that those rights shouldn't be taken away from us. You know, that it's not okay for someone else to tell us that we can or can't, unless of course it was dangerous. But so that's what I love, that whole idea that no one can take away these basic rights that we all have.
Yes, it's stated quite strongly too, like all men have inalienable rights to their own lives. But there's one here which I'm not quite sure, having read some of the stuff, there is reference to it in other places, but that all men have inalienable rights to their sanity. I think I know what he means by that, but what's your understanding of it?
My understanding of that is that no one has the right to do anything to me or influence me and give me any ideas that aren't sane. And also with my study of learning new things, learning about things, I will become more sane in those areas because I know about them. So I'm not going to have any untruths or pick up on something someone else has told me. I think it's about, and it's probably a whole lot of other things, similar kinds of things to that as well. Sanity is important, and it's probably not something that we think about really, unless it's totally obvious that a person isn't sane. But
even then there's a question, isn't there? I'm thinking that what may be referring to is, and I can't remember his given name, but Jones, the guy that everybody poisoned themselves in the jungle. What was his name? It doesn't matter, but he was a guy that had driven his people to a point where they committed suicide because that's hardly a sane thing to do, but they believed it was right.
Yes, it's an insane thing to do.
Yes. So it's all to this point. It's about, as you say, human rights. It's about really trying to get the best out of the human being.
Yes.
And coming back to our earlier discussion about the divine essence, it's with the face of whatever God looks like to you, worn.
That's the thing. I think I know that God is mentioned in there in the creed, and I think that when you look at that concept of God, whatever it is to you, it is a supremeness, a supreme being, a supreme goodness, and that's yes, nothing less than that has any right to take away these rights from us.
No, and it's quite amazing because this is back in 1954 when this was written by Ron Hubbard.
Yes.
And it's very insightful and very, very powerfully directed to the well-being of humanity.
Yes.
It's like things like all men have inalienable rights to the creation of their own kind. So once again, talking about perhaps leftovers from the Second World War with Hitler and controlling the Aryan births and all this sort of business like that.
Yeah,
so,
totally wrong.
The souls of men have the rights of men.
Some people don't consider man as having a spirituality of any kind.
Okay. So he's now alluding back to the fact that we're spiritual beings having an earthly human experience.
And that we aren't, if you look at things, the atrocities that are happening overseas, wars and those sorts of things, if you believed that that person that you were just about to annihilate was more than just a body, that can just be destroyed or thrown away, it wouldn't happen.
No.
I mean, I think there are examples of that kind of thing where there are people who don't see the person as a person, the person as belonging, as a soul, whether you wanted to say they're a spiritual being or not, but that people who do that to other people, there's something missing there in the way that they're viewing that other person.
Well, there certainly is, and then under the heading of and we of the church believe that man is basically good. So we are basically good, and that he's seeking to survive.
That's right.
And that's what sits behind the 8 dynamics, isn't it?
Yes, it
So
is.
that they are the dynamics which indicate the sorts of things that we need to do and to overcome to survive.
Yes,
And
because
that's the driver.
that's right, because Mr. Hubbard discovered that. That was the dynamic principle, is that we are here to survive. That's what we're here to do.
Yes.
And so we want to survive in the best way possible. Why wouldn't we?
Yes.
And
survive in the best way possible. And I'm sorry to keep coming back to this, but this is a program which deals a lot with religions. And so it's a situation where survive with whatever face of God you wish to see or not see.
yes, yeah.
That's quite a critical issue.
It is, because it's what a person believes and is true for them is true for them. And in Scientology, it isn't a belief system because it's about the person himself, and it's about life. So whether the person is a doctor, a chemist, a school teacher, a mother, whatever religion, doesn't matter, doesn't even come into it, because it's about humanity and about people and about life, and their life, their personal life, and how they can be helped to live that life better is really the fundamental thing.
Fundamental. We'll finish for a moment because we're out of time. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. You're watching Harmony and Diversity. We're speaking with Jan Lester, Director of Public Affairs, Church of Scientology, Melbourne. And we're talking about the Creed of Scientology, which is quite an interesting document. And in relation to its liberal view towards religions, it's actually covered here in We, the Church, believe that all men have inalienable rights to their own religious practices and their performance, which is quite an important issue. And these were written back in 1954. And we of the Church believe that the laws of God forbid man to destroy his own kind. Okay, well, that's a pretty important one. Destroy the sanity of another. And by that, your mind then goes to the innumerable examples of that happening in the world today, with countries, we won't mention their names because we don't want to offend anybody, but there's plenty of countries which are setting about destroying the sanity of people quite deliberately. To destroy or enslave another's soul. How would you see that happening?
I think, actually, what came to my mind, or how I view that, is actually it's like keeping a person from being able to be themselves.
Yes.
Denying them that right. And which, again, there are many examples going on these days.
Yes. It sort of sits behind it is the failure to recognise that we're all spiritual beings. This is according to the Scientology precepts. We're all beings who have previous existence, carries with us, and that spirituality is, what's the word? There's a word, thetan, is it?
Thetan.
Thetan.
Yes.
Thank you. That thetan element is the part, I guess, that you'd be trying to destroy or enslave. Would that be what soul would mean, the thetan element?
The word thetan comes from the Greek letter theta, which means spirit or soul.
Right.
Mr. Hubbard was very particular about his words, because if we have any misunderstanding on words, we're not going to understand what we're learning.
Yeah.
He's very particular on the meanings of words.
Yes, yes.
And so we have the word thetan rather than use a word like spirit or soul, because people have different interpretations of those words.
Right.
Would you mind repeating the question again for me?
Well, it's just simply that the point is forbidden to destroy or enslave another's soul.
Yes.
So you've covered it in the sense that that's the ongoing part. That's the infinite, eternal part of a human being. And as such is sacred. That's what it seems to be saying. And the next point is that to destroy or reduce the survival of one's companions or one's group. So these 4 points, could well be read out over a loudspeaker in Syria at the moment. It'd be quite good. In fact, throughout the Middle East, it'd be good. So they're values which are human values. Once we come back again to the human rights aspect of it.
Yes, they're human values. Yeah, and you mentioned before that they were written in 1954. They're based on truths. They're natural laws. They're not things that change over time. These are fundamental things, fundamental rights, fundamental things about the human being. And I think when we talk about spirit or soul, it's not about that thing, whatever appears when we die and then it goes off somewhere else. It's actually, that people could have that concept. It's with us, or it is us.
Yes.
It is the person. It is the one who feels, the one who thinks, the one who computes. It's that essence, that life, the life force of a person, as opposed to just a body or just your mind.
Yes, yes.
It's a pretty important part of a person.
Well,
it is the person. It's very important.
Yes, and it sort of sits behind a lot of what's referred to loosely as the New Age movement, which is the body, mind, and spirit. And they have lots of exhibitions and conferences and things about that, which brings those three things in. And as is said here, that the spirit can be saved. So there's no suggestion that somebody is beyond redemption, beyond return to their original state.
Yes, yeah. Well, you do see in life, you see some people are very low, like very down in terms, say, of their emotional level, very, very down.
Yes.
But with help, those people can be brought back to where they should be. They can be saved. They can, and they can do it themselves with the proper guidance or knowledge or processing or auditing or whatever. They can be brought back to where they're back to being themselves.
And listening.
And listening.
Yeah, by listening, which runs through the whole theme of what we've been talking about. And then this is the last point, and that the spirit alone may save or heal the body. So that really gives the ultimate power to the spirit,
Yes.
which comes back to the processes. I'm just looking at the logical connection of all of this. It then comes back to the auditing, it comes back to the personality development, it comes back to the courses and things that are run, really to bring people, to bring their spirit into a healing place in their body.
To bring them really basically to be themselves with nothing holding them back.
No blocking.
No blocking. That if you are in that condition, well, you would think then that your body is going to be in better condition. If you're down and really down and out, good chance your body is not going to be well either.
No.
So the spirit is going to influence the body.
Yes, and the people around you won't be well either, and that's society.
That's right. Yeah.
Jan, we are out of time, and it's been fascinating to talk to you for the last couple of interviews, because Scientology is perhaps misunderstood in a lot of areas, and what you've been able to do is elucidate it as being quite a powerful force for good, and one which allows everybody to practice it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Could I just mention before we go that if anyone wants any further information, the best place to look is Scientology.org or buy a book, read about it.
All right, good on you. No problems. You've been watching Harmony and Diversity. We'll be back next week. Bye for now, and thanks for watching.
Baha'u'llah, Shanti Om, Allahu